Hi folks, it's November 2024 and here's my video on how to play Iliad. Now this is Iliad by Dominique Ehrhard, not the one from Kaiser Sosa, or actually Reiner Knizia. I like to call him Kaiser Sosa, but anyhow, this is the less famous Iliad game. We played this the other night and had quite a good time, so I'm documenting it for my own personal use, but also perhaps for the use of others. Like a lot of other games, this is a victory point game. I think the winner is the first to 15 victory points. Here's some example victory point cards. They come in two kinds, either the trireme or the city. This says city in the bottom right hand corner with varying values. And then there's the one kind of trump card out of the batch. That's Helen, the famous beauty, captured by the Trojans. And this basically simulates us as a group competing and trying to win victory points from the Trojans. So as part of the victory point thing, we've also got these cards, these little tags. This one is kind of the most important. It indicates who won the last round and who starts the next round, but we'll talk about these a little bit more later. Also central to the game is these oracle cards. They come in two varieties, the Gorgon and the Thanatos cards. And then the Thanatos comes in two flavors too, the -1 and the -2. As you might expect, getting these two cards affects your victory points by -1 or -2, so those are some serious whammies. And these cards go to whoever has the weakest army in that particular round. They call these rounds sieges, by the way. So I guess we'll use that terminology, siege. And last but not least, these are the army cards. They look like this on the back side. And on this side, we have the offensive army cards. These are cards that can be used to attack another player's army. And then on this side, we have the purely defensive cards. And in the box, you'll find this card, which is also very useful, which basically lays out what the different kinds of army cards are. So you'll notice that some of the army cards have a value, others have no value, and the Trojan horse has a question mark. Archers have one value. Now this value does not show you which units can defeat other units. It actually shows you just what value these units bring to your total army, which is important when you try to judge who the winner of the particular siege is. When they're actually attacking each other, you're actually looking at these little red, or I guess wine-colored icons on the left side, or you look at this sheet to figure out what defeats what. And when you attack, let's say you attack with these archers can attack either other archers or hoplites. This is the symbol for hoplites. When you attack, let's say if you were to attack some hoplites, you would take this card out of your deck, out of your play area, and you would remove both cards from play. But the other thing to remember is that at the end of the round or the siege, you do evaluation of all the cards that you have in front of you to see how large your army is at the end of battle, and those values are added up using these numbers. And one of the most interesting parts of gameplay actually comes with these hoplites, which go up in value dramatically based on how they're played. If these two are side by side and they're just played in front of you, then obviously the total value is 7. However, you can stack these together in what's called a phalanx, which you guys might remember from your history lessons. If this 4 hoplite is underneath the 3 hoplite, suddenly this becomes 7, add them together, times the number of cards, 14. So that's a huge multiplier. And as you add cards, you get more value. However, they must be descending. So you can put a 3 on top of a 4, you could put a 1 on top of a 4, but you can't put a 4 on top of a 3. And once a card's been played, it can't be moved around. So there's no revisionist history here. Finally, we have these hero cards. And these hero cards are laid out like this. For example, for 3 players, you have 3, 2, 1 out on the table. And these are basically your rewards for getting out of the siege early. So if you quit the siege and you pass or exit the siege, then you can choose the highest value of these 3. And that, if you were to pick Ulysses here, that would add a value of 3 to your army, which can be obviously the difference between winning and losing the siege. Okay, we've started a siege with 3 players, Santa Cruz, Penn, and Goggles. And we're playing for 1 city point, city victory point, and this is a Gorgon round. Now, there's a big difference between the Gorgon and the Thanatos rounds. The Thanatos rounds are normal. The Gorgon rounds are kind of the speed round. And the way the Gorgon round works is that you cannot play the Trojan horse card at all. So over here, Goggles has a Trojan horse card and is just not in play, cannot use it. And the other interesting thing is that they have radically different winning conditions. So for the Gorgon round, it's as soon as someone has a high value army higher than anybody else on the table, and at the beginning of their round, before they've even played a card, that player wins the Gorgon round and wins this victory point. So yeah, the way that works is you go around and you have your hand of 12 cards, and you keep these cards in your hand, and then in order to make them part of your army, you play them out on the table in front of you, face up. So this would obviously give me 1 point from this hoplite. And if nobody else played a card with a value higher than 1, for example, if Penn over here played an elephant, which is a protective card, and then over here, let's say Goggles made the mistake of playing the ballista, which attacks the elephant, then we would come around to Santa Cruz again, and if Santa Cruz had started the round, Santa Cruz would immediately win this Gorgon round because he would have the 1 point. If this was instead a Thanatos round, which is the regular full speed round, again, Goggles would be able to play the Trojan horse, and play would go around the table until all players have chosen to exit the siege, or pass is what they call it in the rules. And once you exit the siege, you cannot play your cards anymore. You cannot attack other players. You're basically spectating. Other players can still attack your army, but when you exit the siege again, you get your choice of these cards, these hero cards, on the way out. Let's say if Santa Cruz had exited after playing the 1 hoplite, now his army would be worth 4 points, and nobody can attack the hero. The hero stays with a fixed value. However, they could attack the hoplite. The other important thing about the Gorgon round is that these heroes don't come into play during the Gorgon round because it's, again, sudden death, first player to have the highest value army at the beginning of a round. So the heroes cannot be used because there's no opting to exit the siege. So we've taken it a little further here. Santa Cruz has a phalanx of 4 times 2 cards, 8 value. Over here, Penn is setting up a somewhat defensive operation with a 3 value hoplite on top of the elephant. So this elephant card is one of the interesting cards in the deck. It has no value of its own, but it can take 2 cards on its back, either hoplites or archers. And the hoplites cannot be stacked. So I can't create a phalanx on its back with this 1 hoplite. If I were to play this 1 hoplite, they would just be equal value cards, and the total value of this formation would be 4 times 2, because the elephant is times 2 of everything that's on its back. The other interesting factor about the elephant is that if you have an archer, let's just borrow an archer here. If you have an archer on its back, this archer can attack a phalanx, and it can attack the best card in a phalanx. So this archer, if Penn were to opt to use it, this archer would go away in the attack, and instead of attacking the 1 in the phalanx, which is what you would normally do if the archer were just played out here, not on the elephant's back, but if it's on an elephant's back, it can take out the best card, the highest value card in the phalanx. So Penn could remove the 3 from Santa Cruz's nice phalanx over here. So now that Santa Cruz has his 8 value phalanx, we're going to say here that Penn plays his chariot. So the chariot is a special card. It's a fast card, just like you would think a chariot would be. It doesn't actually have to be played on the table in front of you to be deployed. That's the only card that has that special feature. So Penn could play his chariot, and the chariot can only attack the top card in the phalanx, but by attacking this top card in the phalanx, these 2 go to the discard pile over here. This phalanx value is no longer phalanx, it's just a 3. So that equalizes that. Now the round continues, and we go over here to Goggles, and let's say she has decided to try and increase the value of her phalanx and has played that card. So her phalanx is now 6 times 2 cards, 12. And now we continue play as play moves to Santa Cruz, and Santa Cruz has to figure out how to either top that or play some card that has no value, or play some card that has strategic value. Okay, we skipped a little ahead in our imaginary play here, and Penn has now played another hoplite to get to value 10 with his elephant. And Goggles over here sees the threat. She's only got 4 points in her army, but she does have this ballista. So she's going to use this ballista, and this is one of the interesting rules, is that this ballista can attack the elephant, and she's going to use it to attack Penn's elephant here, take the elephant out of play. And what happens when that happens? Oh, before the elephant is attacked, these 2 hoplites cannot be destroyed by archers or other units. But now that the elephant is out of play, these 2 units, quote unquote, fall off of the back of the elephant. And you would think that maybe you could put this in discard. You would think that maybe these 2 would become a phalanx, but no. The rule is that when cards are inside another container card, like the Trojan horse, they just come out and they land side by side, so they don't multiply their values as in a phalanx. That brings us to the topic of the Trojan horse. The Trojan horse, when played in front of you, becomes a container for as many hoplites and archers as you would like. And if Goggles were to play the Trojan horse, she could just pick any number of hoplites and could put them face down on top of the Trojan horse to accumulate add value to the army without other people knowing what they are. However, we do know that since it's a Trojan horse, it can only contain hoplites and archers. And the other interesting thing about the Trojan horse is that if you get to the end of the round or the siege with your Trojan horse intact, when the hoplites come off of this Trojan horse, they can be placed into a phalanx to add to the value. So let's say it's the end of the round, the Trojan horse's contents are revealed, and we have an archer inside there, and we also have a 4 hoplite and a 1 hoplite, and Goggles could opt to obviously put the 1 hoplite on top of the 4 hoplite, giving her a value of 10 for that particular formation. Another card that's worthy of mention is the Hero card. This is a protection that any player can play at any time. When it's out in front of you, out of your hand, and on the table, it protects you completely against chariot attack. So somebody tries to come in with their chariot and attack, your hoplite here. This chariot attack is just simply negated and not allowed during that until the hero is destroyed or until the end of the siege. So that, in a nutshell, is the game Iliad by Dominique Ehrhard.